Alrighty guys, got a video here today on the Air Arms XTI50, and what I'm going to be doing in today's video is fitting the Huma regulator to the rifle. Now, it should be a nice simple job, but we'll walk through it nice and slowly. The first thing we need to do is make sure that the rifle is safe to work on by first cocking the rifle, then firing it into a nice safe backstop. That ensures that there's not a pellet loaded into the breech, and we should be safe to continue. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is get the action out of the stock. Now on the Benchrest rifle, that's nice and easy. All you need to do is release the 3 stock bolts, and that's one on either side, then one on the bottom as well. On the HFT and FT rifles, you do have to remove the hamster first, and you do that by simply opening the hamster up. Then there'll be 4 securing screws in the bottom of the stock that you can remove, and then you should just be able to remove the hamster. Once that's done, the stock bolts can be just removed, and then the action will just come out the stock. There we have the action. As you remove the bolts from the stock, just be nice and careful that the small washers, so those ones there, don't fall out and don't get lost. So there's one in either side, then one in the bottom as well. With that done, the next thing we can do is fully degas the rifle. So as you can see here, I still have air in the rifle. That's luckily nice and simple to do. All we need to do is loosen the bleed screw on the side of the action using a 2.5mm Allen key. Right then, so the hissing has stopped and the gauge on the side of the rifle is reading 0, so we should be totally out of air. This screw on the side of the block sees reg pressure, so as we loosen it we should degas the rifle fully. This rifle here does have a couple other bleed screws, so there's one on the bottom here, then one on the front of the action here, and I believe they're cylinder bleed screws, so they only bleed the air out of the cylinder. With that said, the next thing we'll do is remove the barrel from the action, and this will just make it a little easier to unscrew the cylinder and work on the block. That can be done by loosening the 4 securing screws in the top using a 2mm Allen key. So there's our barrel removed. Then next thing we can do is just unscrew the cylinder from the front of the block. With the cylinder off, the next thing we have to do is remove this boss from the front of the action. You can see our regulator just in the hole there. So to remove that, I'm just going to be using a homemade tool. If you didn't have a tool that you could make yourself, I have seen people just do it with some snap ring pliers. So all you do is you get your snap ring pliers in there, locate them on the internal hex, then unscrew the housing from the front of the block. Typically speaking, they aren't done up mega tight, but I have the ability to make a tool, so I've gone ahead and made one. The other thing I'll mention is that we do have a face O-ring around the outside of the block here, so as you remove the boss, just make sure that doesn't get lost. With that said, the next thing we can do is push the regulator out from the housing. To do that, I'm just going to be using an old O-ring pick. And the regulator itself is a tight fit within the housing, so you will need to push on the regulator body quite hard in order to remove it. But there we have the factory regulator. Right then, so before we get the Huma regulator installed, I thought I'd just pull it apart and show you the difference between the 2 regulators. So on this side we obviously have the Huma regulator, and on this side we have the factory one. Both regulators are very similar in construction. The main difference is that the Huma one uses the standard white sealing disc, so this piece at the top of the reg piston, whereas the XTI regulator uses the moving peak piece, so this piece here. As I said in a previous video, the reason I am changing this over to the Huma regulator is that the factory regulator tends to wander a little bit as time progresses. So what I mean by that is when I rebuilt the regulator, I set it to around 105 bar, then probably 3 weeks later I checked it again and it had settled down to about 95. A little bit of pressure settling is normal, however I'd typically expect sort of 2 to 3 bar of reg settle rather than sort of 7 to 8. Right then, with that said, we can start on the rebuild process, and the first thing we're going to do is just add a little bit of silicone grease to all of the O-rings. A little bit of silicone grease on the top of the piston, and that just allows us to glue the white sealing disc in place, just as so it doesn't fall off as we're assembling things. With that done, we can get the piston pushed up into the reg body, pushing that in all the way home. Then we can secure that using the small snap ring in the base. Up next, we can install the adjuster screw. Again, small amount of silicone grease to the O-ring around the edge. Then we can get that screwed in. Now, before I took this apart, I did take the measurement from the top of the piston to the top of the body, and that on this regulator equated to about 2.75 millimeters. Now, when I bought this regulator from Huma, it was set at about 125 bar from the factory. To me personally, that does seem a little high, so what I'm going to do is knock it back down to about 110. I wasn't asked when I bought the regulator if it was for a high power or a sub 12 pound rifle, so I'm guessing it's just set a little higher for the FAC ones. For now though, 110 bar should be good. And we can always adjust the regulator pressure at a later date if we find it to be too high or too low. Now, an easy way to tell if it's set too high or too low, if the regulator pressure is set too low, you won't be able to achieve the power that you want from the rifle very easily. You'll have to wind the hammer spring a fair ways in, and it will be quite oversprung. If the regulator pressure is set too high, what will happen is it will spike when it comes off reg. What that means is if you're shooting your rifle, say for example it's running at about 780 feet per second, as you come to the reg pressure or just past it, what will happen is the feet per second will rise. So it's a nice simple way of knowing if your regulator pressure is too high or too low. With that said though, we can get our regulator put into our regulator body. So just this side here. This side has two internal O-rings and these are 90 Shore. So I'm just going to add a good amount of silicone grease to them so that the regulator slides in there nicely and isn't super tight in the housing. And I'm also going to put a little bit about the body. With that said, this is the regulated air pressure side and this is the cylinder pressure side. So we're going to put the regulator in the body just like so. There we have it, pushed all the way home. It does stick out a little bit from the back of the housing, but that's nothing to worry about. With that done, we can bring back over our block, add a small amount of silicone grease to this external O-ring, and then get our housing screwed into the front of the block. Again, getting that done up nice and tightly with my tool, or you could also use the setter snap ring pliers as I showed earlier. With that done, the next thing we'll do is add a bit of silicone grease to these two external O-rings, and then we can get our cylinder screwed on the front of the block. With that done, the next thing we'll do is get our barrel reinstalled, so that it just lines up nicely. We have 4 dimples in the top, they just align with the grub screws. With that done, we're almost ready to fill the rifle back up with air. The next thing we'll do though is lock off our bleed screw, and that's done with our 2.5mm Allen key. So that's just that one on the side there. Right then, with the rifle fully built back up and our bleed screw locked off, we can now fill the rifle up with air. Now before we start filling, I am going to cock the rifle, and what this will do is just get any and all hammer preload off the valve, and it should make filling the rifle a little easier. If you don't cock the rifle before you start filling, air will sometimes leak out of the barrel for around 20 or so seconds, just until regulator pressure builds up and forces the valve closed. Right then, so I've gone ahead and filled the rifle up, and I'm happy to say that there's no major leaks. The other thing I'll mention is that I have gone ahead and decocked the rifle just so I don't have to worry about touching the trigger and the rifle going off. The next thing we have to do is set the power on the rifle. Now, typically speaking, on the air arms rifles, there are two ways of adjusting the power. You have the Venturi adjustment screw in the side, then you have the hammer spring adjuster in the back of the rifle. The procedure for setting the power on the air arms rifles is nice and simple. What you would do is wind the Venturi adjustment screw out, just until it wasn't restricting the transfer port area anymore. Then you would set the power using the hammer spring adjuster in the back of the rifle. What you would typically do is set the feet per second around 15 feet per second over your target. So for example, this particular rifle is a 177 sub 12 pound rifle, and my target feet per second is going to be around 775 feet per second. What I would do is set the power using the hammer spring adjuster to around 790 feet per second, then use the user set Venturi adjustment screw to limit the power down to around 775. Now, it all sounds much more complicated than it actually is. Once you start getting into it, it's not very difficult. There are a couple of things I want to mention though. So on this side, usually there is an anti-tamper screw which hides the factory set adjustment for the Venturi. The rifle does have two, so this side is the user set one, this side is the factory set one. You can remove the anti-tamper screw by just using a flat-bladed screwdriver. However, on the rifles that I've seen, you don't need to remove it in order to adjust the power. That grub screw there is more of a hard limit, so you can't just adjust the power using the user set one to over the 12 pound limit. In other words, if you're not confident in getting it out, you can leave it be and it won't cause you any major problems. The other thing that I want to mention is that I have seen some rifles come with an anti-tamper screw located in this area here. My rifle, for whatever reason, didn't have the anti-tamper screw in it, but I have seen rifles that do have it. So that will be just the same anti-tamper screw that was on the side of the rifle, just in this hole here. And typically what you need to do is use a flat-bladed screwdriver in the screw head itself, then just wind it out. It's sort of a Torx head with a pin through the middle, so you can't use a standard Torx head bit to get it out. However, they're not normally done up tight. So this rifle didn't have one, but some rifles may. The other thing I'll mention is that this particular rifle is a sub 12 rifle, and from the factory the hammer spring adjuster is non-adjustable. So it just has it's just a shear bolt, so there's no adjustment in the back. To get the original one out, it's nice and simple. All you typically need to do is loosen the locking grub screw in the bottom of the action here, then mark the hammer spring adjuster with a center mark, then just tap it round, unscrewing it out the back of the block. Once the adjuster's out of the block, what most people tend to do is just use a hacksaw to create a slot in it. Then you can just use a nice wide flat-bladed screwdriver to adjust the hammer spring. With that all said and done though, I'm going to get this rifle over the chronograph, I'm going to set the power, and then I'm going to do a few shot strings and I'll come back with the results of the Huma Reg compared to the original one. Right then, so I've spent a bit of time and got the rifle set up where I want it. Overall, it's performing quite nicely. It will need a few more pellets to bed in fully, but for an initial setup, I think I'm about there. There are just one or two things I want to go over though. So in the video you saw me set the regulator pressure to about 110 bar. That ended up to be too high. What was happening is the rifle was shooting quite nicely over a shot string. Then when the cylinder pressure got just below reg pressure, the feet per second started to rise. So in other words, the rifle was spiking when it was coming off reg. I went ahead and adjusted the reg pressure back down to about 100 bar, and that seems to have cured things. I probably could drop the reg pressure just very slightly more, as when the rifle comes off reg now, it doesn't dip in feet per second and it doesn't rise in feet per second. It sort of stays fairly level. So for my estimation, between 95 and 100 bar would be a good ballpark figure for your reg if you are fitting a Huma to your rifle. With that said, the other thing I want to mention is that I have gone ahead and got the replacement reg piston from my friend Andy, or Black Max, and I will be testing that in the original factory regulator after I've had a bit of time with the Huma one. It will be interesting to see how the new reg piston performs. If anything, I would like the factory regulator to work. It is a quite nice regulator. The only thing I don't like about it is the piston being two pieces with the sealing surface on the top as a separate sort of plunger. But hopefully the Huma one and then the modified factory regulator will work nicely, as then I'll just have a choice between the two. With that all said, I'll stick a shot string on screen now so you can see how the Huma regulator is performing. It isn't bad, it's certainly just very slightly better than the standard regulator, and I do expect the regulator will bed in a little as I shoot the rifle more, so it should get even more consistent. But for now, an initial setup went quite successfully, and the regulator seems to be performing exactly as it should. With that said, we can get the action put back in the stock, and that's nice and simple to do. This is obviously the Benchrest rifle, so I don't have to worry about the hamster. But whatever version you have, the first step is to get the action put into the stock, and then flick the rifle over and get the stock bolts installed. We have a long one in the bottom, and that's secured using a 4mm Allen key. Then we have one on either side, which are just these smaller countersunk bolts, and they can be tightened using a 3mm Allen key. As you put those in, just make sure you put the washers in. And there we have it. There's the action put back in the stock. If you had the FT or HFT versions of the rifle, you could then put the hamster on the bottom. But there we have it. So we'll be doing April's Benchrest card next week probably, so you'll be able to see if the Huma regulator has made the rifle any more or less accurate. But for now, that's pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been interesting or useful, and I'll see you in the next one.